I can't believe we dignified this movie with a 45-minute.
Are we encouraging viewers to watch this movie?
I am not.
It's like this, though. It's like some people like to watch a movie when it's so bad, so that they can be in on the joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Twice Over Movies podcast. This is a discussion episode for Project Power. I'm here with Fahad, Farhan, and Yusuf.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
What's going on, guys?
Fahad, I just wanted to ask you, so didn't you just come back from like a 2-week camping trip, like getting some introspection,
Yeah.
internal reflection, and then you came back to Project Power. Welcome back to the real world of
That's got to be the Hall of Fame comments of this podcast. That is amazing.
You know what? In previous camping trips and backpacking trips, I've been like completely out of it, like out of touch with like technology and like movies and film and everything else going on in the world. But on this trip, I didn't feel like that much.
Oh,
I guess,
no?
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into our discussion, make sure if you have not seen Project Power, just know that this episode contains spoilers. You can go ahead and watch it if you want. You can also listen to our preview episode from last week and get an idea of what we thought about the movie before you decide to watch it or not. If you want to be in on the jokes, though, you gotta have seen it.
Jamie Foxx dies. Joseph Levitt-Gordon dies.
He explodes.
But Joseph Gordon-Levitt does not. Just to be clear,
He doesn't. But Joseph Levitt-Gordon,
Yes.
he's dead,
Yeah.
dude.
He never existed. So Yusuf, in our rating section, we were talking about themes. There was a conversation I think you were about to have, but you saved it for this section.
Yeah. So I mean, we were just talking about kind of the racial commentary that's going on in this movie. You mentioned particularly, there's some scenes where it's like, you're a young black kid, you gotta grow up. It had to do more with Robin's character, who is kind of in high school but also dealing power pills on the side, and Jamie Foxx kind of tells her like, look, you made the decision to deal drugs, so now you have to live with that decision. You have to grow up. I think there is some merit to that in terms of what they're trying to show from the racial perspective, because nobody says that to a kid, that, look, you made one bad decision, now you have to live with it for the rest of your life. But for a black kid, that is often the case.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I would consider that a theme, because it's not really central to the movie. It's just kind of like a one-off scene. That is interesting dialogue. It's interesting commentary they're making, but that has very little to do with the overall message of the movie. So that's kind of where I landed on that, where it's like, that's cool, but it's not really a theme to me, and they don't really come back to it much.
Gotcha. And when you say the overall message, you're saying that because they dropped the coming-of-age story, right? They built it up in the first, 20, 30 minutes, and they dropped it after the action.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they do come back to, her rap career at the end, By the way, I mentioned there's, 5 or, probably at least 5 rap scenes in this movie where they're just like, hey, are you gonna rap or what? And then she's like, power pills. Yeah, no one man should have all that power. I mean, they do that so many times in this movie where that was obtrusive to me. It was just like, it cut into the actual flow of the movie. Although, to Farhan's point, she does have flow. She definitely has flow.
She does, yeah.
I enjoyed there was a song at the end of the movie which I think they had her record. I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but
it was her.
It was a good song, actually. I enjoyed it after this movie was done.
Well, I was gonna touch on the themes thing. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, Yusuf. I mean, I can see what they tried to do, and I can see what they tried to make a theme. And I'm just crediting that as a theme, just because I'm being nice today. But is it a true thing? Did they execute on it? Very, very questionable. I mean, sorry, what were you saying?
Well, on that point, can I say one more thing? That there is one scene, this actually made me more angry and made me think it's even less of a theme, but there is one other scene where they try to get back to the overall, I guess, this is not even, it's so poorly defined, but let's just say, racial exploitation or whatever you want to call it. They bring up Henrietta Lacks. I don't know if you guys caught that, but they bring up towards the end, the woman villainess, she mentions that, look, there's a lot of good that can come from one bad act. Like the time that, some doctor took some tissue samples from Henrietta Lacks without her permission. That was a black woman. That's true. There's a cell line that gets used in pretty much every scientific experiment experiment using cells nowadays. They're called HeLa cells. That HeLa. That stands for Henrietta Lacks. So I mean that's a true story. They, a white doctor, took samples from this woman during an operation without her permission, and it turned out like she had some rare mutation that has allowed that cell line to continue to proliferate for hundreds of probably hundreds of years, probably indefinitely, and they use that for every experiment. They threw that in there again. The day and age that we're in, that has been kind of a hot point that like, look, there's exploitation even in science. Every field there's exploitation. So again, I kind of felt like somebody saw that on Twitter floating around and was like, huh, I'm gonna, again, that's two disconnected moments that they're trying to tie together into a theme. It doesn't work for me.
Gotcha. So there's some history there. But then I also picked up on the history of like testing medicines on people without their permission. There's a whole history of that.
So there is backing to kind of what they're showing there, but I just don't. They had one, the main test subject of this movie is a black girl, so fine. But like they didn't even mention race for most of this movie, so it's hard for me to see the kind of the connections they're trying to draw. I mean, we're really pulling it out right now, but I don't know that it's.
They definitely tried.
Oh, you think that was purposeful?
I do. I 100% purposeful.
It's just
and the
bad
reason I
execution.
say that is bad execution. But the reason why I say that is because a lot of the girls' rap sequences are about, it's kind of like this movie came out in response to Black Lives Matter movement, because it's a lot of the same kind of, I don't want to say rhetoric. It's the same sort of ideas, and like rising up against oppression, against the powers that be. And so I do think that there was a very concerted effort to make that a focus. I mean, think about how many of the major people in this movie are black, and their roles in the movie. None of them are in a power. None of them are in a situation of power or a position of power, and the people who are all white. And so it's definitely a concerted effort, I believe.
The overall arching theme that I picked up from this movie was systematic oppression, right? And you can take it back to, because the whole idea is that the government created this pill within the military, and then they hired this contracting company, this for-profit contractor, to produce it and market it and get it out into the public. It's not too far from like what people say, how the government introduced crack cocaine to ghettos in the 80s, right? Like that, it's the same idea. Like you're introducing it to a vulnerable community and seeing what you can get, how you can profit from it. But again, it was barely like mentioned. It was mentioned in passing through some dialogue. That's it.
And when you say mentioned, I mean, we don't really need them to say it verbatim on screen.
Yeah.
I actually hate that, but like you have to bring it up enough, subtly to actually kind of have some continuity there. And yeah, that's a little bit difficult to see. I mean, you guys are making a case that there is at least a legitimate theme here for me, so I may be tempted to bump my score up.
Please do not.
20?
No, Yusuf, your score is very brave. Keep it where it is.
It's a 15.
I'll leave it at a 15, I think. But I mean, I do agree with some of the pushback. Like this is stuff that I didn't really consider as deeply as on my own as you guys did, and so I am seeing that now through this discussion. But it does seem a bit forced nonetheless. So I'm just not sure. It does point to what Farhan mentioned earlier, that maybe this movie was made in quarantine for quarantine. All that stuff has been kind of contemporary since we went into lockdown, right? So they were not shy about bringing it up.
I noticed the Lawrence Fishback, her age as a actress, she's like 29 now, and she portrays like a what if
Dominique.
Yeah, I'm messing up every actor.
Where'd you get Lawrence?
he went for Lawrence Fishburne, I'm pretty sure.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
You think so? You think that's where my mind went?
I
have
that's
no
where you were
idea
going.
where my mind went there. Anyways, she's 29 now. She plays like a 15-year-old. I have no idea when this movie was filmed, but I'm guessing at least like a year or two ago.
I doubt that,
Yeah?
honestly. I think it was much quicker than that, knowing Netflix timelines.
Yeah.
Like they could have
filmed this
They could have
year.
filmed it like a while ago, and then editing took like, I don't know.
Nah, editing for this took that long.
Or they had
No
like a
way.
release schedule
Bro,
in mind.
if they edited this movie, they would have been like, okay, we're not putting this movie out. What the hell are we thinking?
Look, I'm just looking at the actress's age, and I'm comparing to how
Yeah,
she
so what
looks in
about
this
that?
movie. She looks completely different than what she...
No, I think that's
Well,
just the way
dude.
that she looks, though. I mean,
Yeah,
if
that's just how she is.
you put certain clothes on somebody, you can change their age.
what's the point we're making here? Just
Oh,
that
there's no point. It was just that,
That's just an observation.
just an observation. And when Farhan mentioned that they made this movie for quarantine with the Black Lives Matter context, I don't think it was made like recently, within the past 6 months. I think it was filmed much
Black
earlier.
Lives- it's been that movement hasn't just started. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's been going
I
on.
guess that is a stretch though to say that they like conceived of this movie, wrote it, filmed it, edited it in the last like 6 months. That's probably a bit of a stretch, but like yeah, it's very much a rushed movie probably, I think.
What's sad is that that's totally not the case. You guys are right. It's got to have been a year. It's got to have been a year and a half or something. And they took a year or a year and a half to make this movie, which we all conceivably can believe that it was made in a couple months.
On that note, there was one thing I wanted to talk about. We kind of got into it in the preview portion, which is what would you do to make this movie better? Let me start. The first thing I would have done, I would make Jamie Foxx a serious character, and I would make it a character study on him, because he has a good backstory that they kind of brush upon. If you take out Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character altogether, just take him out, and then you have, because then you can kind of see it being kind of like Taxi Driver, just different. Jamie Foxx is Robert De Niro, and then Robin is Jodie Foster plays in Taxi Driver. I forget her name, but yeah, like it could be kind of like that. Like except it would be, I don't know. You can make it a character study. You can make it a little dark. You can, as long as you're consistent with the tone of the movie throughout, it could be a good movie. But again, I don't think it would succeed in reaching the most number of people, which seems to be the only objective that this movie had, which is like, let's try to satisfy the most number of people that we possibly can, instead of let's make a good movie.
Gotcha.
See, and that's a really, really interesting observation that you just made, which is movies for everybody are almost never good movies, in my opinion.
What about comedies?
Same.
No, comedies.
Oh, 100%
No,
the
comedies
same.
can be made for the masses, and they can be excellent in terms of like, for the critical audience, right? Think Airplane.
No, I think so. So there's
Naked Gun, old comedies with Leslie Nielsen.
I'm a huge fan of Airplane actually. That was like one of my favorite comedies, and I think there is like, those are very smart films. Like even though they appear like, you know, a lot of dumb comedy, there is a lot there. I mean, but you know,
are those family? Are they like family comedies?
no, they're not. So to your point, they're probably not for everyone, right? And if you try to go for
Right.
everyone, you're going basically. A movie that is passable for everyone is never going to be good for everyone, right? You're going to end up with people like us who hate the movie, but we were able to probably stomach it in some sense, some of us. You know what I mean? So like, I think I agree more with Farhan on that, but I get what you're saying, Fahad. That like you could make a good movie that is with broad appeal, but it's a
harder
very
to
difficult
do,
thing to do
for sure.
and you need more time and more effort than they put into this. So.
What's the movie
Agreed.
that I've been saying for like a year now that everyone can enjoy? Parasite. I can't imagine a person not liking
What?
it.
I can see a lot of people being like
I can.
bored.
I can see.
From it.
I can see people being like, "What? This isn't in English."
Yeah,
I'm not watching this
and that's
movie.
it, right? That
Okay, yeah,
ruins it.
maybe at that point. But beyond that, if they got past the subtitle, then I think they would enjoy it.
I don't know. Like again, you have to have kind of like a broader mindset going into a movie like that. I enjoyed the comedy a lot in that movie, but I think a lot of people would be like, no, that wasn't funny at all. And that's just you have to have, I don't know, like it's not American comedy. It's not slapstick humor. It's not something that's like in your face. So like it's a little bit more subtle. And obviously, if you're not used to, and I'm not used to, foreign styles of comedy or Korean comedy in that case, right? So I had to kind of be open to accepting it. And like once I saw they were trying to be funny, I actually thought a lot of it was funny. But it's not easy to do something like that. So yeah, Parasite for sure. There's plenty of people who wouldn't like it. Although Faraz seems to think everyone in his crew, which is everyone in the world, would like it. But I don't know. I think that's a difficult case to make.
I don't think there's really. I don't think there's any movie that everybody's going to like, but I think that there are movies that majority of people are going to like. And I'm not gonna say people. I'm gonna say majority of like the population is gonna like, because I don't like any of those movies, and I think that's just kind of an observation on society in general, art, the context of art in all forms within our society. Look, popular music, personally, I hate it. Popular films, very rarely do I like it. Not even love. Very rarely do I even like them. I don't even watch them. Sometimes just based off of the fact that everybody else likes
Hang
them.
on.
Because if everybody likes something, in my opinion, it's probably gonna suck.
Hang on, Fran.
So, yeah.
What a
MCU
contrarian.
movies.
No, but so that's
You
not,
love
that's not being
MCU
contrarian.
movies. Everyone likes
The
MCU movies.
What movies?
Marvel movies.
Fahad, are you trolling?
I'm not.
I don't like Marvel movies.
You love them. What?
Wait.
Huh?
He's trolling, dude.
No, yeah.
I guess
But anyways,
I guess I don't know your taste.
No, I hate
Do you?
with a passion Marvel movies.
Aren't you obsessed with Fast and Furious 7? I'm pretty sure you said that was a.
See, you hit it right on the money though. You hit it right on the money. There's a difference between something being palatable to everybody and everybody liking a movie because they're interested. People aren't interested in art. That's my point, is that people don't care about the direction anymore. They don't care about this stuff. If you're truly into film, you do. But if you're just average freaking Jennifer down the street, all you care about is the action.
Hey,
all you
now.
care about is the
I'm
flashy,
sorry,
flashy stuff.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
If we have a listener named Jennifer, I'm sorry.
Let's go with
Listen,
Karen.
Jennifer,
Karen's already
go take a film class.
lost in the wind. You make a fine point, I guess, that like some people don't care about that stuff. But I also, whatever, like, you know, film has a lot of functions, so not everyone is looking for art, and that's fair. You know what I
And
mean?
that's true.
Yeah.
And that's something that it took me a long time to realize. I mean, Faraz can vouch for this, man. When we were in high school, and I'd be telling people to watch movies, and they'd be like, that movie sucked, bro." And I'd be like, "Are you serious? Do you not see how much breadth this person has as an actor, as like a freaking 16-year-old little pretentious kid?" And they're like, "No, let's go watch this other movie." And it's just like, it's one of those comedy movies where, like, you know, there's like 50 titties in the movie and they love it because that's what they're interested in. And my comment to them was always, "You don't like my movies because there's not titties everywhere. You don't like the sky because there's not titties in the sky."
I can vouch that he said this specifically for Pan's Labyrinth in high school.
Yeah. And so that's just popular art will never be palatable to the people who truly appreciate that art.
I think movies can work on different levels with elements that appeal to the masses and elements that appeal to different audiences, right? But there are not many movies that can pull that off.
So I'm just gonna pull this back a little bit. If you know, in the end, I think we saw some fun stuff that I did want to discuss. So like, if I was going to make this movie better, as Faraz was getting into earlier, I think I would have gone back to that classroom scene early on where they mention fetal alcohol syndrome, and then they use that for the tie-in later for her to realize that you can pass down conditions like genetically or whatever, I guess through pregnancy, which is actually what it was, which doesn't make any sense for Jamie Foxx. I would have cut that scene, and I would have mentioned in that scene, in that like classroom scene, I would have had the teacher talking about how the pistol shrimp is the most powerful animal in the world. And then when it comes out later that Jamie Foxx's abilities are based on the pistol shrimp, it would have been a perfect tie-in. I would have loved it. I would have absolutely applauded this movie. That was absurd. I can't believe.
Maybe we should make a movie, huh, guys?
Yeah, maybe. Also, I have to mention the scene in the grocery store where whatever, they're in the big fight and everything, and then the can of tomato soup rolls into Robin's feet, and she picks it up and sees it's tomato soup, and she's like, "Oh my God, I was supposed to get tomato soup for my mom.
God.
This must be a sign. I need to help this guy." That was pure. That was art. If anything is art, that was art.
Oh man, I'm cringing listening to it, just recalling it.
Oh, Yusuf's got jokes, man.
I mean, there's fun moments in this movie, guys. You gotta have the right frame of mind. I'm just saying.
The frame of mind that you need to go into, like Fahad said, is it's on in the background, and you're actually focused on something else, like folding laundry or cooking or something.
I would rather have nothing in the background than this.
And everyone has their own taste. I mean, I don't think it's a movie that people shouldn't watch, but like we keep saying, it's the expectation that you're going in with, and it should be that it's a movie that at best surface level might entertain you for a little bit, but that's it. Like, there's nothing beyond that.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
All right, so that does it for our discussion of Project Power. We will be back on Monday with another preview, And then following Thursday, another discussion. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast and share it with your friends.
And hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. I imagine there's going to be a lot of hot takes that disagree with many of the things that we've said. I want to hear about all of them, and I want to fight you about it. So
Come at me, bro.
let's do it.
True. We are at the Twice Over on both Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
See you there.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to this production of The Twice Over. If you haven't already, subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcast, and remember to support us on Patreon or by sharing the podcast with a friend. Feel free to contact us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Twice Over, or email us at comments@thetwiceover.com. All of the music you heard is from Amerigo Gazaway. Check him out on Bandcamp and Spotify.